What is going on, everybody? We are back once again with another edition of Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast. It is Thursday, October the 17th. We've got a Dynamite to break down, and we've got the original Thursday crew, a reunion show of sorts today. Happy Thursday, everybody. I'm stoked to get into it. First and foremost, let me introduce the head of opinions all the way out in Philly, one of my most dangerous fantasy football competitors this season, Anthony Ricciardi. What's going on? Oh, hang on.
There we go.
Sorry.
I don't know what you're doing there.
No, the trackpad's stuck on me.
Yeah,
Can't have that.
You talk about the most dangerous competitor. You're undefeated, but yeah, okay. We haven't played each other. We don't play each other for another 4 weeks, but yeah, okay. But you could say that after I play you. But I'm hoping to be that one. But you know, it's always fun when we're able to get this crew together. It's been a while since the OG throwback crew has been together to break down a Dynamite and piss people off. So it's always fun when we're able to get together, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Me too. I'm stoked to get into it, but also can't start without the Tuesday Night Delight himself. And speaking of fantasy football competitors, league's second leading scorer. I mean, you're looking good. Not to make this intro about fantasy football, but I've been excited about it. I've been tweaking my lineup all afternoon.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I'm like 500 in all my leagues, oddly enough. So it's a strange year for fantasy football for me. But I'm good, man. Like y'all said, we back. We back. The crew is back in the building to talk about AEW Dynamite. And Tony Khan, I got a bone to pick, so we'll get into it though.
Ooh, he's got a bone to pick. I'm excited. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this Adam Cole promo. I talked about it a bunch on yesterday's daily, so I'm going to kind of leave this one to you guys. It is odd he left after revealing the devil mask and being the bad guy, and he returns as the good guy. I think that's very circumstantial. A lot of it had to do with the injury and the absence due to that. That's a hard place to work from. If anyone can work their way out of it, I think it's Adam Cole. I think he did a respectable job last night. I liked the way that MJF's music played. He ended up being on the Tron. Classic heel behavior. It works. I want to see MJF, Adam Cole in any iteration, whether the roles are reversed or they're this way. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just going to kind of let that one slide because I think that injury to Cole's ankle was worse than everyone expected. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But let's get your thoughts first here, Anthony, when it comes to that promo with AC last night. And are you looking forward to AC? He said he was going to whip MJF's A. Are you looking forward to that?
Here's the thing. With this rivalry, the matches itself, I think, are going to be great. However, the situation they're in, I don't recall this ever happening before in wrestling, where you had a situation that played out the way it did. And it's an unfortunate hole they have that they're in. It's very difficult to dig out of. I don't like the way they did it, though. Having Adam come out there and pretty much, just disavowing everything that happened and pretending like it's not canon, that he didn't turn on Max, he wasn't the devil. Like you're discrediting it, which I think is a mistake. I think the smart play would have been here. And now typically this is not the normal playbook where you do babyface heel. Because this is screwed up with they switched positions, I feel like Adam should have been a heel too. I would have done heel because I think if there are any two guys that could pull that off, it's these two. And I know the crowd would have popped for Adam when he came out. That's expected. He's been gone for a while. But it's very easy to get the crowd to turn against you if you go out there and you bury the crowd and going, I don't know why you're cheering for me. I am still the devil and I don't need you people. I saw all the stuff you did online and said that I was weak and fragile. Screw you all. This is between me and Max, and you could pretty much have them out-devil one another. That's what I would have done. I would have done them both as heels, and that's the only way I think you could have made this work. The way it is now, it's very goofy because Max refusing to fight Adam, which makes no sense because that's what a cowardly, it doesn't make sense because you would think Max wants revenge. And you would think just one nut shot alone and a brainbuster wouldn't be enough. So I wasn't crazy about Adam's promo. I don't think it was a good idea to bring him back and fully embrace the face thing. I think that was a mistake. I do love when they do the Max promos where he's just sitting off in some unknown location, drinking some wine, and just completely badgering whoever he's feuding with. I did like that, but like I said, I think heel versus heel probably would have been the smarter move on this situation, because it's very difficult to try to go, Adam's a good guy. Meanwhile, all the stuff that Adam did and never had to pay for any of that stuff. Like, correct me if I'm wrong. Did they or did they not throw Jay White through a glass window? That was never repaid. Max
Right.
paying that. Like, to me, there's a lot of problems with this, and I understand the circumstances and stuff like that. It's a very difficult spot to be in.
This is interesting, Anthony, because I had this thought last night when I was watching, and I was like, this is super flip-floppy.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually think it may work if they did it, and that would be to have Adam Cole go in as the babyface to the match, but then all of a sudden you bring back the friends, and he does something so dastardly and so heelish to Max, and goes, "You forgot. I told you I was the devil, and I pulled one over on you. You forgot what I was here for." Like, right? Because so on paper, it sounds very flip-floppy and very too much. But at the same time, it does work in the sense that you kind of milk the babyface return part that we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
With Adam Cole, and then you sort of right the ship in the context of the match, because I do actually think the majority of AEW's quality storytelling happens bell to bell, as opposed to on the microphone generally. Now, Adam Cole and MJF should be able to tell their story on a microphone better than basically almost anybody in the company. But I don't know if it wouldn't land if they did something like that. I don't think it's in the cards, but I do think it would be cool.
My only fear is if they're going to try to turn Max face again, which I didn't agree with turning him face in the first place. I think he's a natural heel. I never thought he should have turned face in the first place.
I thought the face was a fun short-term run that needed to lead to, because it was fun.
No,
I enjoyed a lot of like our scumbag stuff, and it was kind of like it was a little bit like the movie Ocean's 11. They're the robbers, but you get to root for them for once.
Oh yeah,
right. They're the robbers and the good guys, and you're like, this is kind of fun, right? And it felt like that for a fleeting moment with MJF. I don't think it should have been a long-term thing, and I actually thought they handled it pretty solidly. And that's the issue on the other side of this for me. And I promise I'm still going to get to you, Shad, but that's the issue on the other side of this for me is, like, had they been able to pay off the storyline that was being told at the time, I'm fine with the face Max and heel Adam Cole thing. But once Adam Cole's out for even more extended time, the way it turned out to be, you can't keep Max as a face just waiting for AC to heal. So it's a tough situation to solve in general. Like Archie even said, bless AC, he did his best to fix an unfixable mess. It's just tough. Yeah.
I don't think anything is a mess to where you have to be prepared for rainy days in situations, right? It's like sports. There's always a plan B for any situation. If your star player is out, you got to find ways to pivot. I don't think AEW's writing team does a well enough job for situations like this, where it was a unforeseeable thing to happen. You didn't expect him to be out as long as he was going to be, but to kind of just completely go away from it, then bring it back in a completely different dynamic, it leaves us as fans like you're kind of insulting our intelligence in a way. And that's one thing I don't necessarily like. I understand. I thought his promo last night was excellent. I thought, Adam Cole is a guy that we're happy to see back. I totally get it. But to a lot what Anthony just said, I agree. I feel like there's a situation where maybe they don't even pin themselves against each other initially. Maybe it's kind of just oh, shoot, he's back. What's going to happen? Or like you said, maybe you kind of let the fans decide who you want to root for. There isn't a clear-cut babyface or a clear-cut heel. It's just two guys who are best friends, and there's friction between each other. But when you bring back Adam Cole in a way where he's just the, babyface that's back, everyone's happy to see, and Max is back to being the heel, I don't know. It doesn't leave me a lot to desire with the storyline because I feel like it's a new story without a payoff to the previous story, or it's like we completely just altered and changed the a plot, a climax to a previous story, and that's kind of it's confusing in a sense to when you talk about a story. Obviously, I know that as a wrestling fan, and I know what happened in real time in real life, but I like stuff that's connected. I like stuff that makes sense in a way. And that's where I have a bone to pick, where it's not on Adam Cole. It's not on MJF. I think they did phenomenal yesterday. I think MJF on the vignette, in the room, that was phenomenal. Adam Cole, he's an incredible talker. But the writers, like how we write in this story, we could have wrote it a lot better. It's the same thing with football teams. Like the players, the best coaches put the players in the best ways to succeed. I feel like we haven't given these guys an opportunity to show out, and I don't want to put that on them. I'm just saying, like, they could have told a better story to how we got here.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And it is interesting too. If Adam Cole's a babyface, and you mentioned, we forgot they were recently best friends, even with, if he's coming back as a babyface, is he not like, actually, I'm sorry, like, can we be friends again? And let Max be the heel?
You know what? There is one. Now, this would have been completely convoluted, but again, they're in a convoluted situation. This might have weirdly worked. If Adam would have came out and says, I have a confession to make to you people. I was not honest with you. I was not the devil. Max orchestrated it to get his contract. And then
that would have been cool.
That to me is the only way you could do Max at Adam Cole babyface.
Well, that's not a bad call. I didn't even think of that way.
Because again, the time frame, you can kind of make that argument, like, but again, it's a very weird situation that they're in.
Yeah,
I don't know
or even trying to say, like, I had to one up the actual devil. This is why I had to do it. Like, there wasn't a lot of explanation in regards to that.
If he'd have even said, like, and this is something I suggested yesterday, I had to turn on him before he turned on me because I knew.
Yeah, exactly.
I knew the whole time that he was conspiring to screw me over in the end.
Yeah.
The promo didn't work because he's like, I need to do this on my own. You had a mob. What are you talking about? Like, that's not the line you deliver.
You did have a team.
Happened to those guys actually kind of need you.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk quickly.
They need you a lot more than ever because I don't really see them that much.
About our next topic. That's golden. So the Blackpool Combat Club, the William Regal established team, the Regal there is nobody from Blackpool in the club. I don't understand that anymore.
The closest is Pac because he's English. That's about it.
He's at least English.
Yeah.
But so they basically took everybody out.
Yeah.
Just laid waste. And I kind of like the destruction idea. It's a little bit like not tacky retribution, but at the same time, like, I'm not totally sure then if they look this strong, how we're going to build a perfect challenger for Mox. And that's my only caveat when it comes to this. Anthony, I want to get your thoughts on the whole deal and when it comes to this situation with the BCC.
I have so many mixed feelings and concerns with this angle, only because AEW just tried to do this a few months ago with the Elite, and it went nowhere. There was no true team AEW to defend AEW. It was a ragtag group of people, and there were no stakes. So now the Elite is still around. There's no repercussions on them. And now there's a new heel group that's doing the NWO thing, beating up people, which I'm fine with if this goes somewhere. But if you're going to turn around and suddenly turn the Elite babyface to defend AEW, that just makes it look more stupid if you're doing that. They beat up essentially the job squad of AEW. Just the complete jobbers, the ones that are not even on TV, that are maybe on behind the paywall of Ring of Honor. I don't know. The one part I absolutely hated was in the end when they're in the back and they're beating everybody down, Dark Order, and Johnny Huggy is completely no-selling the beatdown he got in front of the camera, the beatdown he got behind the scenes, and he's running after the truck. I'm like, your entire crew couldn't beat these guys, but you single-handedly think you could take them all out. that looked dumb as anything. The fact that his company is getting taken over and Tony Khan is nowhere to be seen, nor even his cheap imitation Adam Pearce isn't even there, or barely there. Like, you need to play this off correctly. There needs to be somebody for them to go up against, and the Dark Order ain't it, or this other the Top Flight or any other jobber that they got in the company. Like, that's not the smart play here. You need a legitimate team, legitimate people to go after them. And Tony Khan needs to be present, or some type of authority figure. If it ain't Tony Khan, somebody needs to be there, and there needs to be actual stakes, unlike the Elite one. You got to make this work. You need to either retcon this and say the Bucks are behind it and tie them into this whole thing and make one giant group and try to retcon the mistakes of the previous feud and legitimately do it, or you need to do something, because this has the potential to fall apart just like the other one did.
That's what's so frustrating about it, is it has potential to. I feel like there's almost no middle ground.
Mhm.
They're going to get it so right, we're like, dang it, I can't believe I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
Or they're going to get it so wrong, we're like, what were we thinking here again?
It reeks a little bit of what we're seeing with the EVPs, because
Yeah.
I think initially the thought of it and like the initial presentation, having the Jack coming back after being gone, it was great. But now it's been a few months. We're kind of like, it's a little stale, truth be told.
And here's the thing for me is, like,
And I do about one thing.
Go ahead.
The point that you just made about the competition, I think that is very important too. Because if you're going against people who I know they have a zero fighter chance to overtop you or have any sympathy for it, it's going to be hard for me to be as invested into it.
Yeah. And
There needs to
Anthony
be
Manzano
stakes.
in the comments here said, if Moxley does promos where he targets the Young Bucks and Jack Perry and he brings up the CM Punk incident, saying if it wasn't for their immaturity, their biggest ratings, I would still be in the company. I don't think you highlight CM Punk ever again on AEW.
That would make Moxley
ever again.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think that works either, because I don't think Mox and Punk were exactly friends either. If you know what I mean? So it's not like.
Interestingly enough, to me, if you take out the spider web of the rest of the storylines, so like the Bucks, what's going on with them, what's going on with the patriarchy, what's going on with so many other groups, Kenny Omega is kind of the perfect foil to Moxley's character.
He is.
But I don't know how we get there.
He's got to go. He's got to go against the EVPs,
right? So it's like
there's too many problems with it. Like, it's AEW is behind the eight ball, because you have the Adam Cole MJF mess and this. Those are two very difficult scenarios to navigate, and to do them both at the same time, that's dangerous.
It's weird, because it's like there's a lot of really good dots right now in AEW, but you can't connect them.
Correct.
Like, that's the best analogy I can make.
Yeah, that is the best way. And also the other thing is that both teams are damn near identical in regards to how they, are moving on with their mission statement. They're both against the authority, or they're abusing the authority type of
trying
situation.
To be the authority,
or being the authority. They're one is trying to change things up and bring, the correct way stuff should be, while the other ones are abusing power. But both of them are heavy heel factions. I mean, one of them took out the GOAT of AEW and Kenny Omega in kayfabe, and the other took out Bryan Danielson, who's another GOAT for AEW. So why would I, as a fan, want to they're both very much heels.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. All right. With that though, we gotta pay some bills here. If you haven't checked out Demand Progress Plus yet, what are you doing? If you're watching the show, we know you're a wrestling fan. That's obvious, right? So after you finish watching this one and check out the rest of the lineup here on Wrestling Republic, you're going to want to check out Demand Progress Plus, because this is one of the best tape libraries in the game. And you're also going to get live shows, pay-per-views, one of the best promotions in the game. You're going to want to use this code, though, when you sign up. Use the code WATCHPROGRESS1. You're going to get 50% off of your first month on Demand Progress Plus, which also has Defy and many other promotions. So you can check out all kinds of great stuff, tons of talent, littered throughout, names you can figure out how they got to the big leagues. This is the big leagues at the end of the day. Once again, use that code WATCHPROGRESS1, 50% off your first month on Demand Progress Plus. Go check it out. You will love it. I assure you. But let's keep it rolling here on the daily broadcast. Let's talk about some TBS title action. Let's talk about Mercedes Moné and Queen Aminata. We got a submission victory out of Mercedes Moné, and I said it on Tuesday the other way. I can say it this way. That's not a Lexus. It's a Mercedes. No doubt about it. I think it's time we get the full recovery as far as her a little bit of stumbling out of the gates in AEW, and I think we're on our way to some special stuff from Mercedes Moné because I know how talented she is. She is as big of a star as AEW has signed since its inception, and I think now is where she's going to start hitting her stride. The match last night was rock solid. I think Queen Aminata doesn't win often enough on TV for how good she is in the ring, and that'd be the only thing that could have improved last night's match, but that comes down to booking in the past. In the present, which was last night, I enjoyed every second of it. What were your thoughts, Shadi?
All right, so this was a very well wrestled match. I think Mercedes is bell for bell one of the best in the entire world when it comes to professional wrestling. She is one of the horsewomen for that exact reason. And Queen Aminata is nothing short of sensational. I think she's got a very bright future. I think she can also go in the ring. I also agree with what you're saying. It would be nice for her to kind of, pick up some wins. She's kind of in this weird space between is she, an ROH talent, and she kind of moving up into Dynamite. I feel like, or to the AEW programming shows that you have. I feel like you have something with her. It would be nice for them to kind of, put some steam into her. I think she's a likable character. I think fans do rock with her. They need some more baby faces. And that kind of goes to my point. With Mercedes, the issue is not her at all. I think the presentation, the character, her having Camille, everything works. The problem is, back to what you said, is the booking. And I'm just a little confused in regards to how do we navigate and get her some, viable storylines, viable competitors? We're moving Statlander back to being a babyface when she was a heel, and she just had a big storyline with Willow where, it's kind of like, okay, besides a handful, besides a Willow, a Thunder Rosa, they don't have as many established baby faces compared to heels, where you have a Mariah May, who's probably the best heel women's wrestler in pro wrestling at the moment. You got Mercedes, who's doing top tier heel work. Athena is on ROH, but she's also a big time heel. Britt Baker, kind of a tweener, but she's best served as a heel, in my opinion, as well. I feel like they need to establish some babyface women in the division, right? Even when they had Julia Hart, another heel character, they need to kind of get back into it and kind of create some babyface competitors. But I hope you're right. I hope we do get an opportunity to see Mercedes, spread her wings and kind of really take over. I don't think she's been bad by any means. I think she's been solid so far. And part of it also makes me realize, maybe did she really even need the TBS title at this point too, right? I feel like the roles of the titles in AEW kind of feel like we got a 1A champ and a 1B champ. Is this the weekly, TV title? Because I don't necessarily think you need her to be a TV champ just because she's such a hot commodity where she has a level of importance where it's cool to kind of reserve her and have her in special matches, special, within pay-per-views, right? Stuff like that, rather than her wrestling just the Anna Jays, the Queen Aminatas every week, random people they may pull out from other places. I know she is all about, wrestling and doing all that, but it's also part of who she is. She has garnered that importance factor because she is a big time star. She doesn't need to be a TV wrestler. That's my only knock it would be, because I look at Mariah May on the other sense. I feel like she's positioned perfectly, how she's presented on TV, how her heel tactics are, all of that. Mercedes should kind of be the same thing too. She's got a heavy to do her work, right? Why doesn't Camille kind of go out there and wreck shop with some of these girls for her? You know, why doesn't Camille go out there and fight Statlander first before we get to the feud, right? Like, I feel like stuff like that could be presented a little bit better.
I think that's a great call. And it's funny that you mentioned like that. Does she need the TBS title? I haven't really thought, I didn't think this at the time, but in hindsight, the more I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, so Jade kind of made that belt with the big streak.
Mm-hmm.
Are they not like, we got the big star, we're going to put it on her now as a little bit of like a look at this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I don't think that's Mercedes' fault by any means, but I'm like, it does seem a little like in hindsight,
Well,
like
I mean,
interesting,
because Jade is like kind of like how it is for like a Gunther, right?
Right.
Or like how it was for like a Brock Lesnar. She's in there because she is just an absolute
physically
beast.
dominant.
Yeah, physically dominant, and her matches were relatively short. However people want to judge her upon that may be it. But it's smart for her, you know. It's I don't like to compare her to him, but it's the goal. It was the Goldberg.
It protects her because she's green. It protects her because she's green. But they did that with all three of the big signings. All three big signings ended up with belts. Like that was the mentality. Ospreay got one, Okada got one, she got one. That's what they did.
Which I find interesting because we've had these waves of big signings that like took time, like Cole and Danielson. Like as far as the title picture was concerned, it wasn't that simple, right? Like it is interesting to me that wave.
But to the point of Jade, the title helped build her character too, because she was new. Like you said, she was green, right? Mercedes, we know who she is.
I think they're having her hold it to add prestige to the belt because obviously after Jade it kind of languished a little bit.
That's
so she's adding prestige, and then whoever beats her, they not only win a title but they beat Mercedes. Like it'll make something. So I'm assuming that's where the mentality is.
True. I didn't think of it that way.
But that's the thing. They gotta build somebody to do that. And I don't know who's in the woodworks to be built for that as of now.
You were talking about needing to build baby faces. You're so spot on with that. Off the top of my head, I'm like, yeah, you got Willow and Thunder Rosa. Like that's it.
The Willow one hurt you because essentially what we said on this show when we were on here. I said they're going to use her as transitional and just give it to Mercedes, and then she just moved on. She feuded in Statlander and never went back to Mercedes. So
Willow's
it's kind of like,
situation.
You know what I mean? It's a very difficult spot. Thunder Rosa absolutely would be phenomenal to give the belt and kind of run with it, but they got to
Thunder and Monet would be outstanding. That would be a very cool rivalry. I would be all over that. And the other thing, I got to give Thunder Rosa credit. I've over on Busted Open. That's a different show than our own, but. Been listening to her lately. I think it's going to improve her promo work because she's basically been on the radio multiple times a week now for almost a year. And I already thought she was a pretty solid promo. I cannot wait to see what she does as soon as like the next run starts, the next really big one does, because I think the sky's the limit for Thunder Rosa. She's one of my absolute faves. No doubt about it. Let's move on though to our final topic for sure.
Hold up,
because go ahead.
Can we do one thing though? Can we just give one person flowers? Because it's not on the topics, and I feel like it's important. Can we give a round of applause for Shelton Benjamin?
I knew you were going there.
Yes.
Because the fact that he ain't on the topics, it is whatever. I know we got a short amount of topics we could do. Shelton looked amazing last night. I just want to say I'm happy for him, and I'm glad to see him back on the TV screen.
I was hoping he was on the topics because I already had the line prepped. Like, where did he find a time machine? Like, sincerely, he looked like he was. He looked like he drank from the fountain of youth and then went out and wrestled.
To me, he was the highlight of last night's show.
Oh, me too.
Shelton is one of those performers. He doesn't age in that ring. It's
unbelievable.
He looks the same like he did when he was flipping off ladders at WrestleMania. Like we
forget how truly world class of an athlete Shelton Benjamin is too.
Yeah.
This guy was Brock Lesnar's roommate at University of Minnesota.
Dude, he's like his yoke.
Brock was a junior college transfer. He was a 4-year varsity wrestler, big time D1 wrestler at University of Minnesota. He did not win the national title like Brock did, but so what? I believe he did win the Big Ten title, and it's one of the greatest programs in the country. Like, this guy was world class at that, and he comes out. He's not known for his mat acumen. This isn't like Kurt Angle or Brock or those other guys that you see. He's known for his pure athleticism, which makes it even crazier to me. Like,
if he would have came out in this generation of wrestlers,
he would have been a multi-time world
champion. He would probably be in the same boat as like a Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega type of he's. And obviously, I hold him in high regards just because there's like a sentimental value. Because we talk about that OVW class. Everyone says it's like the NBA 2003 draft with LeBron, Wade, Carmelo. Like Shelton Benjamin, low key is kind of like that Chris Bosh guy, that fourth guy that y'all don't really talk about, but his work, he's a champion type of situation that you definitely gotta give him his flowers, man.
No question about it. I couldn't agree
more. LeBron because he's still wrestling.
By the way,
LeBron's still playing.
Think about the highlights of his career too. Think about this. That the most iconic in my eyes, Raw opening. The Michael super kick.
Shawn Michaels going there. I knew you were going there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Every time we have a men's Money in the Bank match, what's the most iconic highlight?
Yeah.
Him running up the ladder.
It's funny. He was asked about the Shawn Michaels kick, and Shawn said, "Well, how far where do I need to be in the ring?" He goes, "Wherever you are, I will find you." Like he literally, that's the type of athlete Shelton is.
It is. He is world-class athlete, no question about it. Like that's non-negotiable. Like he's that good when it comes to pure athleticism. Oh my gosh, Rosario loved the Chris Bosh reference and said 100 Shelton. And then Chris LeClaire, friend of the show, also added Shelton Benjamin dominating win against Leo Rush. Yes, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on, though, to our last topic of this afternoon. Let's talk Christian Cage versus Jay White, or as our good friend Ben Allison would say, Christian Cage versus Jay White. And so, shenanigans. We have tons of shenanigans.
Yeah.
I kind of like this vindictive Hangman Page. I don't really love this vindictive Hangman Page. I didn't expect Kip Sabian to get involved, but Kip Sabian was involved. I missed the paper bag. I can't lie. That tickled me. It was funny. I didn't know where he was going with it. It never really paid off, but it was funny.
Yeah.
Either way, Christian gets the win as cheaply as possible and holds up his world title contract. I don't think he's challenging Jon Moxley anytime soon. I don't see that. Shad, I'm going to go to you first here. How did you feel? How did you feel about Christian picking up the win versus Jay White? And what are we doing with that contract just waiting in the wings? Because Moxley is not the guy it's being used on.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm very, very confused on it just because we do have Moxley and he's a heel champion. And honestly, I don't even know if I would want to go against Jon Moxley at this current juncture of time. He seems very intimidating. He has the scariest person in the AEW locker room on his side, and that is the one Miss Marina Shafir. Because as soon as she starts cutting a promo on you, you are literally gonna run away. Nah, I'm just joking. Jokes aside on that, it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what you do with it. Really, I feel like you hold it for a longer period of time. I guess my guess would probably be this, and I don't want to fantasy book too far ahead. I feel Moxley will probably lose the title to a babyface. The babyface I'm thinking is one Darby Allin. I think they're going to revisit their match. And then I think Christian catches on Darby pretty quickly because in Darby Allin fashion, he's the guy that is never going to be on top of the mountain, hence why he didn't go to Mount Everest. And the chance he gets to the top of the mountain, I feel like they're going to pull the rug under his feet after a short time frame with Christian Cage because it would only boost and benefit Christian Cage as a champion, as a heel as well. But I want to see Christian become AEW champion at some point. I feel like Christian is one of the people on that roster that is doing like some of the best work. Like we're talking about Blast from the past. We just talked about Shelton Benjamin. This is another guy, man. He's been in the business for as long as he has been, and he's just absolutely killing it. So I have intrigue in it. Jay White losing, it's fine. I'm interested in him and Hangman extending their feud as well. I think that was one of the more underrated matches from Wrestle Dream that a lot of people aren't talking about that should get a little bit more attention, because Hangman just got done with a blood feud with Swerve. Jay White is back in full effect. And if you know anything about Hangman Adam Page, he is going to give you something to sink your teeth in and feel fully invested in regards to storylines. So I think everything tied with that should be good. All in all, it was cool. It was a fine main event.
I think so too. And I like your call on cashing in on Darby. I think that makes the most sense. I mean, obviously he's got history with Darby as it is. That is where I would go with this. Yeah, it is interesting. Switchblade picks up basically, I think, the biggest win of his AEW run in singles competition thus far against Hangman. Not very long ago at Wrestle Dream. Takes a loss with shenanigans to Christian. I don't know about that one necessarily, but that's neither here nor there. What are your thoughts on the Christian and Jay White match? And then both their futures as far as like the title picture is concerned, because I think they tried to treat this like they're both in the title picture.
Yeah, I think it was an okay main event.
I'm so sorry.
You keep muting me.
It's my track thing. It's
yeah, okay.
My mouse is messed up.
All right. I thought it was a fine main event. I'm completely fine with Christian picking up the win because the way it was done, it's to continue the Hangman feud. I openly said when we did the review of Wrestle Dream, I love the Hangman Jay White match. That's the Jay White I've been wanting to see. The true Switchblade, not the watered down, ridiculous version that AEW had been presenting prior. That's the Jay White I wanted to see, and that Jay White against Hangman, I think you could do stuff with. The Christian, he's going to hold that for a while. He doesn't have to cash in. He's not going to cash in on another heel, and he's certainly not going to cash in on a gang warfare that exists with Combat Club, especially when he's down a man because Luchasaurus's health issues. So he's not going to be able to do this with his son and Mother Wayne. They're not going to be able to do it. I do agree with Shad. I think, Darby will win it and immediately lose it because I think Darby views himself in a lot of ways same way Tommy Dreamer viewed himself in ECW. He never wanted to hold the world title. Dreamer won it for very quickly and quickly lost it because he didn't want to hold the thing. So I think Darby's probably going to be around the same boat as far as that goes. The only thing I questioned with this match was, did they do the run-in part with Kip Sabian and Hangman too early? Because it was very weird where they kind of ran down and then they were, Hangman had to lay on the floor for a few minutes and then they essentially redid the thing. So I wasn't sure if that was a botch. If that wasn't a botch, I don't know what the logic was there. But I am very interested in the Jay White Hangman feud continuing and see where they go with that. And Christian, I don't know if they have, I guess they're going to do something with Kip Sabian, or I don't know if there's a direction for Christian right now while he waits to eventually cash in. That's the only thing. I don't know where he goes right now.
Yeah, I agree. Like he doesn't fit the world title equation and he's holding a first class ticket. It's like, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but I do get that. Chuck Cage added, I'd love to see a multi-man cage match or Elimination Chamber style of a match for the World Championship with all these viable challengers. Down the road, I would not have actually an issue with an elimination style match of sorts. I don't think right out of the gates. I think Moxley's got to have a defense or two. Maybe that's how you have Darby win it, and then that's how you have Christian cash in. But I
think a lot of people don't consider the Elimination Chamber and those type of cages. They are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
So if AEW is going to commit the money to that, they're going to expect to get the money back. And I don't know if they're going to get that.
I would expect that type of match in AEW to not be in a cage or an elimination chamber, but to be probably like they'd call it something like the first ever singles anarchy in the arena and call it elimination in the arena or something. Right. That style, because from a production standpoint, you spend a little extra money on that one, but it's not the same as the big structure and the, they've had success with that format.
What they could do is do the anarchy and do the anarchy ring with the double ring and the cage, and the same way they do it.
That's blood and guts.
Blood and guts. But as far as the blood and guts, you could use that cage if you wanted, and the time entries are individual challengers, and then they're all in the ring, and then they could do it that way because
That
you
would
already
be
have
cool.
the structure.
But I'm thinking because of the success they've had with Stadium Stampede and Anarchy in the Arena, it'd be kind of cool if they filmed it where they had like referees follow everyone around. So you can have somebody getting pinned on the concourse, then you cut back to the ring and there's action in the ring, and then you have, and eventually it gets down to 2 in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, I guess you could.
But I
You're
think that
talking
would
about
be
elimination style.
elimination style.
Yeah.
The first ever singles elimination Anarchy in the Arena for the world title. I think that'd be, from a production standpoint, just given the success that they've had with those matches in general, I could see it. I mean, Stadium Stampede, I thought cinematically stood up with almost anything during the pandemic. I got to give them credit for that. That match at the Jaguars Stadium was hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
like the big bell on Ortiz's head and the selling there, and even like Matt Hardy diving and changing characters when he goes in the water was just,
it was good stuff.
Too funny in the pool. Like it was entertainment, and I don't think that's possible again now that we have crowds back, but the way that they kind of pivoted into Anarchy in the Arena, and it's always been entertaining. You could use that in a singles capacity as opposed to doing another 2 teams against each other match down the road, and I would be all over that. That would be really fun.
Yeah. Honestly, if I feel like wrestling companies, even if it's like AEW, WWE, I know TNA does it in a good sense because they do tapings. Like if there is a chance for like a double taping and stuff like that to alleviate crowd fatigue and stuff like that, having some sort of like cinematic match built for a show would be a good way to do it. Yeah.
It doesn't at all. But I mean, yeah. With that though, I think that does bring us to the end of the show, guys. And it's been a fun one. Happy Thursday, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't smashed like and subscribe, please do. It means the world to us. Check us out every single day, noon Pacific, 3 in the East, 8 o'clock in the UK. Of course, that's 9 a.m. in Hawaii. We'll see everybody soon. Check out Sold Separately, Sunday Spotlight, all of the shows on the Wrestling Republic lineup. On behalf of me, Clark Taylor, Shad, and Anthony, thank you and have a good one. We'll talk to everybody soon.